The UN Secretary-General's presence at this meeting made sure the crisis in the Middle East was high on the agenda. On arrival, Antonio Guterres drew attention to the mounting civilian death toll.
That is unprecedented in my times as Secretary-General. And a basic principle of international humanitarian law is the protection of civilians. We must stick to principles, in the Ukraine as in Gaza, without double standards.
The EU, like the UN, is demanding a ceasefire and urgent measures to address the worsening humanitarian crisis. The final summit communiqué will call for a sustainable ceasefire and the release of hostages. EU leaders welcomed news of a new US Security Council resolution calling for the same.
Israel has been aggressed by Hamas. Israel has the right to defend. It has to do that in accordance with international law. Hostages has to be freed. And I am happy that the US is going to present a proposition to the Security Council asking for the first time for a ceasefire together with the freedom of the hostages.
A number of leaders also warned Israel not to go ahead with plans for its military operation in Rafah or anything leading to the displacement of more Palestinians.
We are not for a big offensive in Rafah. I stress that in Israel myself, and we hope that a longer-lasting ceasefire will now be possible that is also linked to the release of all hostages and what is also very important to me, the handover of the dead.
EU leaders are also going to demand Israel does more to crack down on settler violence and use more restraint in its military operations in the towns and cities of the occupied West Bank. This EU summit has multiple foreign crises to deal with, but the situation in Gaza, with the looming threat of famine, is now so serious it could not be ignored. The bloc is pledging to send more humanitarian aid when it can be delivered, and the language it will use in calling for a ceasefire is strong. But there's not much else it can really do. Simon McGregor-Wood, TRT World, Brussels.